Does your heart start racing when you see her? You think about asking her out, but your brain begins to tell you about all the things that are gonna happen and how it's gonna go wrong, and you're gonna get rejected, and everything's gonna go downhill, and everybody's gonna hear about it. Listen, you don't need a smooth pickup line. You don't need to be great with your words. You just need to be brave. Let's break it down. How to ask a girl out? Brave, the acronym. So starting with B, you gotta be honest about the fear. You gotta realize that no matter what happens, no matter how much time goes through, you're gonna still be afraid. The only way to not be afraid is to just go through it and ask. All right, so let me help you with a couple things. For example, when I first had a crush in high school, I was terrified. I would write down on my notes, like, oh, I'm gonna ask her what kind of songs that she likes. I'm gonna try to be interesting and this and that. And I would have so many notes of different questions I will ask her about her taste, get to know her. But at the end of the day, she ended up getting a boyfriend. I never asked her out. I never had a chance to even get rejected, to even get a yes, actually. And so what I want you to know is that being afraid is okay. It's normal. All right, R. So I want you to know that the relationship starts with emotion. So what I want you to know is that for most women, there is the emotional connection aspect that you gotta remember. Is that a lot of guys think that because we tend to see with our eyes, we tend to see the physical aspects. Not all women work like that immediately. So what I mean is that if you're just a random stranger, even if you might be pretty good looking and pretty fit, if you're a random stranger and you approach a girl who, let's say, is shyer than normal or is just having a bad day, she's gonna just reject you because she feels weirded out. So you gotta build that emotional connection, right? And so that's where the third part fits in. A, out of brave, assess the situation. If you have already had conversations with her, it's gonna make it easier to ask her out. Not because she will know you a lot and because you're close friends, but because she will recognize your face when you come up to her and talk to her. She won't be weirded out. Her natural instinct of wanting to be protected and kept safe, right? If a random man approaches her, right, it seems scary, and so all of a sudden they go into self-defense, self-preservation mode. So you gotta remember that with assessing the situation. If you don't know her, you gotta first somehow break the ice, but not in the sense of a pickup line. In the sense of, let's say, I'll give you an example. So for my wife, what I ended up doing, right, is I was a youth group and I saw her cross. I was like, oh, I recognize her. I remember her. She's so pretty. This and that. So what I did is we were playing a game. We're playing this game with like the big bouncing balls. I don't know if you ever played with them. You go inside and you start hitting each other with it. And what I did is I approached close to her, like because she was standing with other people, and I was taking it off, and I went to and I got pointed kind of like at her jokingly, saying, "You're next." And I didn't know her back then, right? Because I just met her, but she was super shy. But I was joking around where I was able to actually say something to her that she was able to kind of be like, ha ha ha. But then she still, she doesn't know me. But now she kind of thinks maybe I'm funny or maybe I just like to make jokes. So that's what I did. And later down in that day, I talked to her and then I was able to get her number, right? But the main point is that she didn't know me before that. And so by me actually making a joke or making a comment or saying, or if let's say you've been to, let's say, I'm gonna keep using the example youth group. Let's say you've been there for a year and she hasn't. And so you would ask her, oh, you're new. I'm Bernardo. I've been going here for blah, blah. How did you hear about it? You start a conversation. You're not trying to ask her out yet, right? And so you want to assess the situation. If you know her from other conversations, other friends, then it's okay to move on to V, which I'll explain what it is. If not, try to break that ice by just talking or ask, hey, do you know where the water is? Just something random, something like, depending on the situation. Don't put it out of context. For example, if you're at the beach and you are thinking, okay, what am I going to say to her? Don't say, do you have ice cream? That doesn't make sense, right? You would ask, um, hey, I'm looking for my sunglasses. Have you seen them? I don't know if I dropped them. And she might be like, oh no, I haven't. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And just walk, but then you'll go back and approach her. Or you can just start a conversation right there. But anyways, let's go to V. As you're having a conversation, right? So V is voice with confidence. right? Voice it with confidence. Speak clearly. Look at her in her eyes. Don't be like, or right. Don't be looking around. Look at her in the eyes, not directly where you're just staring at her, right? But kind of like you're having a conversation. You look away. You look back. You look away. You look back. Kind of like giving that little bit of pause. Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Okay. Um, but speak when you speak clearly, and you begin to ask her about asking her out, right? Don't go, would you like to hang out and we could maybe go get some ice cream, right? No. First of all, don't say hang out. If you're trying to actually date her, do not say hang out. Most Christian guys don't approach women directly. And listen, women like somebody who is masculine and who tends to take the charge. Now, that doesn't mean you're aggressive, but it means you're direct. You're not afraid to ask. You're not afraid to put yourself out there. That's what I did with my wife, right? And so you're also going to stand out completely, kind of like the emotional connection aspect. The reason why you might see sometimes an uglier man dating more beautiful women is because, like I mentioned, it's emotional connection first. And attractiveness can be there, but it doesn't mean that if he's a 4 in looks, but he might have a really good personality, more women would like to date that than a man who the most likely wouldn't want to date a 4 in their eyes, right? Everybody has their own perspective what a 4, what a 10 is. But a man is less likely to date a 4, for example. Now, some people might not like that, but it is true. It's observational, right? So when you ask directly. Say something like, would you like to go on a date with me? So I'll give you another example. When I asked someone out in high school, by the way, I met my wife in high school, so most of the people I asked out were in high school. When I asked somebody out, they gave me their number, right? I knew them from math class, but I didn't really talk to them too much. But then at some point I approached at the end of the school day, and I asked her out. I said, would you like to go on a date with me? Now, of course, I was probably afraid. I probably looked down, probably was so awkward. She gave me her number. I was so excited, and the number was actually fake. It was some random number. The reason I know that is because the next day, after I texted her, I asked her, I was like, hey, somebody else texted me saying, who's this? And she told me, yeah, I gave you the wrong number. And I said, oh, okay. And I just looked away. And so it was very awkward. But what I want you to know is that with the next part of brave, or E, is that when you express it directly, if it's a no, right, after you ask her, would you like to go on a date with me? If she says no, no thank you, or I have a boyfriend, say no worries, thank you for your time, or it was nice talking to you, right? Whatever feels comfortable. And move on. Don't push it, don't re-ask, don't say you sure. No, don't do that. If she says yes, again, take charge, be direct. Say, okay, great. Let me get your number. You get her number, and as you're getting her number, you say, have something planned. Maybe you're like, we'll go get some coffee for the first date. That's another conversation. Do coffee. Don't do anything else. Don't try to be the fancy dinner, spending a bunch of money. Basic, just coffee. Even a cool coffee place. You can be like, oh, we're gonna go to this coffee place down the street, whatever whatever you live. Don't make it Starbucks. Make it something like a local coffee shop. But say, what time are you available? Or even better, you can say, I'm available Saturday at blank. Are you available? And then she'll maybe give you a time, a different time, whatever. Great. When you leave the conversation and you're messaging her, so she has your number, message, it's great talking to you, Maddie. That's my wife's name. Look forward to our date. Not hang out, date. Looking forward to our date at, what is a coffee shop? Let's say Pete's Coffee at blank. Doesn't have to be that salesy, but it is a good confirmation. It is good so she has it. When you're in the moment, sometimes you forget, so it's good to just confirm. And that's it. You don't need to be messaging and being like smooth talking. Leave it at that. Stay away from trying to message early on. Just Go on the date first. Get to know her. It will be a lot easier to talk to in person than it is having to be smooth over the texting. Too many Christian guys are too afraid to talk to her, so they'll do it over text messages. No, they'll have to be extra cool. Don't. Just in person. Messaging will never beat in person. One, because you get to see each other eye to eye. Eyes, you bond so much with just looking each other in eyes to eyes. And just last advice, if you do get rejected, it is gonna hurt. If it's your first time asking, it is gonna hurt. When I first asked a girl out, I cried, and then I was heartbroken for 2 months. The second time I asked a girl out and I got rejected, I was hurt for 2 weeks, about 2 weeks. And every time I asked a girl out and I kept getting rejected, I got rejected a lot. Every time I got rejected, the time of how long it took me to recover was less and less and less. So I want you to know that it does get easier, but it's not fun. All right. So I hope this kind of helped you guys. If you are scared of asking her out, just remember, be brave. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real, about being respectful and clear. That's what a grown man does. Okay. So take care, guys.